Dopamine talks about pleasure, reward, motivation. So you have to be thinking as a brand, what brings my customers or my would-be customers pleasure? Feelings, right? So we're going to benefits, not to facts or features. What rewards my customers or my would-be customers? A lot of people surveyed year after year say that they follow brands on social media to receive discounts. But a lot of brands that you see are so busy storytelling that they've forgotten to reward their customers and would-be customers with discounts through social media. And then also motivation. How do you bring motivation into what you do with your content on social to motivate your customers and would-be customers to continue to come back? So we know it's a reward molecule. We know that the social media platforms have exploited dopamine and still kind of do in a way. And we know that the changing triggers for users on social media is from quantity to quality. That's the foundation. We also need to understand that the way users use social media has changed. Again, it's old. The way people are using it is new. So today's social media users are digital connoisseurs, right? I've been using social media for around 20 years. So I kind of know how to make my way around Facebook and Twitter and whatever site that I choose to be on, which is mostly LinkedIn these days. And then we also need to start talking about the silent observers, because these are the people who don't click the like button, but they do engage deeply. And I want to start a movement, I guess is what I'm looking to say. I want to stop calling them lurkers, because really these are just introverts, and some of my favorite people, Katie, are introverts. So let's stop calling them lurkers and start calling them silent observers. She's very observant. She just does it silently. So passion leads to profit. Again, feelings are what's going to get you to finance. I need to workshop that one a little bit more. Passion to profit sounds a lot better. But honestly, with the clients that we serve, the more we are sharing opinions and feelings, the more we are creating these experiences and dopamine spikes or hits, the more we're breeding more conversation. What happens when you have more conversation? More people join the conversation. When you have people commenting on your social media content, the algorithms also really love that. I don't know if you've ever noticed that when you have a post that maybe doesn't have a lot of likes or shares, but it has a lot of conversation happening underneath it, all of a sudden you get more and more reach, more and more impressions. Every single one of the algorithms on every single one of the social media platforms has deep engagement, like comments or conversations, as a part of what they look at to share your content out more. So that's why return on conversation is so important. So as we're building our dopamine machine, we're thinking about the conscious scroller. They're looking for those authentic stories, but they're also seeking value. How are you adding value? You're also thinking about the silent observers. These are the people who are lurking over liking, but they're engaging deeply on your content. You can look at stuff like click-through rates to see how this is doing. I'll give you an example here. It's not a great one, but we have this wonderful, fabulous, amazing client who's a gastro doctor. So they do things like hemorrhoid banding and colonoscopies. There's not a lot of people coming on their content to talk about their colonoscopy and their hemorrhoid banding. So what we look at instead are the silent observers. Our click-through rate is so high on all of their content because we make sure that we're educating the clients on these really not so fun procedures, that they feel comfortable by the time they hit the doctor's office. They know exactly how it's going to go from check-in until the time that they're discharged. So even though we don't have deep engagement in the way of those conversations, we see it in other ways through click-through. Then I want you to think about trust dynamics. And I actually call these trustfluencers in my world, but these are your influencers, your micro-influencers, and peer-to-peer recommendations. One of the things that I'm sure you've all seen is when a page does a really good job of cultivating their community, somebody can come in and say something nasty, and the brand doesn't have to say anything at all. The people come in and start being like, you don't even know what you're talking about. You get out here with your negative vibes, right? That is exactly what we're trying to get to by cultivating our communities and followers on social media. I won't get too into this, but I did my undergrad undergraduate thesis study on the social penetration theory. Terrible name, brilliant concept. Obviously not named by marketers. And what they said was the way we build relationships and the way we get to trust is through disclosures, what they call self-disclosures. And what those disclosures do is basically tell us how we get to know each other. Cliches and facts, remember facts are features, that's where most B2B content lives. Guess what you don't do with cliche and fact content? Anybody want to take a guess? You don't build, oh, say it. Hi. You don't care. You're not going to build a relationship. You're not going to build trust. You're not going to get those conversations going. But when you start to share opinions and feelings through your content, either asking for it or soliciting your own point of view as a brand, that's where you start to see those conversations happening. That's where relationships start to get formed. And even though this was formed back in the 70s, by the way, way before social media existed, my undergraduate thesis looked at this theory on actual social media pages. And what I found over and over again, and it's still true all these years later, is that the brands that focus on conversation through opinions and feelings, which we all can also call, I can slap the marketer term on it if it'll help your stakeholders. Just say collecting voice of customer data. Okay, everybody will be like, yay, oh, you're so smart. Yeah, it's really just collecting opinions and feelings of your customers and would-be customers. So if you want conversions, because all of you raised your hand with ROI, you need to stop building a follower base and start building a customer base on social media. Because guess what? The only people who are going to care about your content deeply and engage with your content deeply are your customers and your would-be customers. So would you rather have a really tiny following that's made up of customers and would-be customers, or would you rather have 10 million followers and maybe 3 of them are buying your things?